these animals take in. And we had samples over 20 years. And what we show is that there's absolutely no shift in their diet in the past 20 years. So the stable isotope data clearly shows they're still targeting sardine and anchovies. And it also means that they're more specialized feeders than we thought. So if we have a decrease in biomass of their prey, but they're still going for this prey, it means they're not adapting. It means they're still going for that same prey, meaning they're vulnerable for continued fishing pressure. So we will delve more into this as well to get a better understanding of what that threshold might be. That's a little bit about the British whales. I'm going to have some water, thank you. I never know if I need to say water or water, or I'm not South African, sorry. So then we go about the right whales, who we have studied for many, many decades. So right whales are divided in different populations in the world, as I said. And in the red circles, you can see the regions where these populations are recovering really well from whaling. We have Brazil, Argentina, South Africa, and we have West Australia and New Zealand. So those populations are recovering pretty well from whaling. Those that are circled in a lighter color, Chile, Peru, the Madagascar region, and East Australia, those populations aren't doing so well, and they might have been depleted too far. Now, to understand population recovery, there have been long-term monitoring programs on these populations for the past decades. That's not just here, that's in other regions as well. For example, Argentina, they started in 1971 in Peninsula Valdez with aerial surveys to photo ID all the right whales and follow that population. In Brazil, 1987, they started there with aerial surveys. 1976 in West Australia, also same thing. Annual aerial surveys to go photo ID and count all the whales. And then obviously, I will talk to you about our region. So in South Africa, we've been doing these annual surveys since 1969. And since 1979, this has been done by a helicopter, because then we're starting to take photos of the callosity patterns of our whales. And with the helicopter, we simply have the capability to hover above a whale until that whale comes up to take a photo. So as you see, these are among the longest data sets in the world on any baleen whale. And we fly that survey between Nature's Valley, Plettenberg Bay, basically up to Muizenberg. It's always the same stretch of coastline. And up to now, we've got over 1,000 hours of flying over these years. There's a lot of numbers here. But I think the important one I wanted to point out is that we have over 2,000 females individually identified. So that means over 2,000 females in this population. We know, we have a code for them. We know when they come back, when they give a calf. And about 1,200 of them we've seen multiple times with a calf. So that gives us a lot of calving intervals. It gives us a good idea on how good are they reproducing and how often are they coming to our shores. And one of the graphs I think that are most showing the changes we've been seeing in the population is this one. So you see on the yellow graph, which I hope stands out from the screen there, you see the number of females with a calf that we counted on this survey every year since 1979. And you can see that that starts changing quite substantially since 2015. So we have a peak in 2014 and then it starts going down. And we get these huge cycles in numbers of females with a calf that come to South Africa or that give birth. We did a bit of a survey last week, 2 weeks ago I think. We flew the coastline here between Hermanus and Witstrand, and we had about 154 females with a calf. So that's why I'm putting the arrow there. I'm estimating that the aerial survey, which we'll fly next week, will be a low count, possibly, hopefully, the next couple of years going back up and having these cycles. I'll get more a bit into that a bit later. So anyway, by identifying these females regularly and having this ability to follow individuals over time, we can estimate population parameters really accurately. So we know now that the total population size of South African right whales is about 6,500 animals, give or take, and that this population is growing at about 6.5% per year. As you can see, survival rates are really high. So once an animal is an adult, it has really high chance of survival. And there is even a very high chance of calf survival once the calf is born. But what we did see is that there's a change in the interval at which these females give birth. So you can see on this graph, and I apologize for the graphs. I know they like boring, but it's a really nice way for me to show you the science behind this, is that we have very stable 3-year calving intervals in the first few years. So you see those crosses and those dots, they're all in the same line, and then you see that go up in the last few years. It has peaked in 2022 at an average of 7.2 years, which is very long. And now this graph basically shows you the average number of calves a female has per year. Obviously, a female can't have 0.2 calves per year. These are numbers and averages that you have to multiply that by 10, for example, to say she has 2 calves on 10 years. But you can see there's been a drastic decrease in the last decade. That shows you that the reproductive intervals are becoming much longer. And the interesting thing is that this remains stable. So this calving interval is getting longer, and that's irrespective of the age of the female. So we have so many females that we know for the past 40 years that have been able to do an analysis to say, okay, the females that are now over 30 years old, how are they doing compared to the young animals? And we can see that that calving reproductive rate of the calving interval is the same for old females or for young females. So that means something's affecting that entire population, not just an age class. It's not just, oh, we're getting old animals, so their reproduction's not going well. The decrease in calving success is irrespective of age. We also now very clearly see that females give birth to their first calf at an age of average of 9. And the youngest female we have in our catalogs is they're 5 years old when they give birth. So they're young, but it's very clearly that between the age of 7, 8, 9, most of these females will give birth for the first time. And also that is irrespective of the decade in which the female was born. So that age at first calving has not changed in the past 40 years. That's remained very stable. Now, what does this mean? So we see this decline in reproductive success. So there's a decline in the production of calves in our population. And we see that this is around the same time when we started noticing a decrease in the males to come to our coast. So this is the arrow that I pointed to the red graph. You see that red graph goes up. Those are the number of males and the females without a calf. And in 2010, that dropped significantly. And that's a part of the population that has stopped migrating to our coast. So these animals are staying offshore in foraging grounds. And that, as I indicated before, we now start to see these huge fluctuations. So there seems to be these cohorts of females that are large in number and that come to the coast to give birth around every 5 years. That's where we get these cycles. 2018, we had a bumper year. 2023, we had a lot of right whales on our coast. And we can estimate now, let's say, 2027, 2028 might be a good year again. Who knows? Now, what does this all tell us? So, altered migration patterns. So if an animal doesn't give birth, it won't come to our coast anymore. The females that do give birth, it's at a very slow rate. So what does this tell us? Well, there's an energy problem, very clearly, which means that there is a problem with their food source in Antarctica. So that's what we're looking now at, more Southern Ocean research. And with this, I want to reiterate how right whales are different from other whales. Right whales, balaenids, they are very slow-moving animals. They are a bit of the cows of our sea. They have a very slow metabolism. Like I said, they can live long. We've now estimated up to 130 years. That gestation is long. So they are very sensitive to changes in the environment. So they're not only the right whale to study, they are our right sentinel. Another research we did a while ago, that's why I didn't highlight it here, is that shows that our right whale females have gotten thinner compared to 20 years ago. I think it's something that has been out in the media as well. that has shown that our right whales are not doing as well physically. They're getting thinner compared to the 1980s. And knowing that the reproductive cycle of a female is so demanding on this animal, there's obviously something going on which we call a trade-off between choosing for her own survival or to reproduce. And that's a very simple reason, physiological response of a female that doesn't have enough energy and therefore will delay her calving with another year or 2 years. Now what we don't know yet, and that's what another piece of research we're doing with another PhD student who's sitting right there, so you have questions later, is how does this affect the calf survival? If a female is thinner and she does give birth, how does that affect the way this calf will thrive? And some of Lorraine's research has now shown that on the South African coast, our mothers lose about 19% of their body volume in slightly over 2 months. So that's what we've done with drones and measuring these animals. She's been hours measuring animals, and we see, okay, these females, they decrease about 19% of their body volume, and that translates in about 8% increase of the body condition of a calf over a period of 2.5 months. That means that this calf has about a growth of 2.7 centimeters per day, or about 2 meters in 2.5 months. So this calf grows, and what we now need to look at is how does this growth rate change with the condition of the mother? So mother in a really good condition, will that calf grow faster than a calf from a mother in a bad condition? And that's something that we need to still have an increased sample size for. We need to be out there on the boat much more, take more samples, take more drone footage to answer that question for you. So, as I mentioned before, also the whales that don't give birth, that are not having a calf, including the males and the females that don't give birth, they're stopped coming to our coast. They don't migrate to our shores anymore. Because obviously the energetic demand of migration is quite substantial as well. And we've been deploying satellite tags on right whales. As you can see on the map there, we've now deployed tags on 34 animals. And we can see that after they come to the South African coast where they get their little tag, they go offshore, they go feed in the Southern Ocean. And the subsequent year, they're still there. So we clearly see that these animals don't come back annually. And that when the animal is not highly pregnant, they don't come to our coast, they stay in the Southern Ocean feeding grounds. So that's when we started to realize we need to understand the Southern Ocean a bit better and the effects of climate change on the Antarctic region. So what we did there is more oceanographic research. So we looked at our animals, and all these red dots on the map is where our right whales are eating. The blue is where they migrate, they just swim at a higher speed, and the red dots is where they hang out and they go and eat. And you can see that that is quite south of South Africa. That's kind of the polar front we have there, that dark, like the patch of red dots. And then we have to the right, we have Crozet Island, and then we go all the way more towards the Southwest Atlantic. And this crossing to the Southwest Atlantic is also something we didn't know happened. So that's an unseen migratory destination. So we did some climate research. Well, we had brilliant people doing this for us. And we looked at these regions in the Southern Ocean, and some of the research showed there that around the same time as we saw changes in our population, we saw drastic sea ice declines. So from these maps, I only want you to look at the red circles. This is Antarctica, and what is in blue means there's less sea ice. So it's quite substantially how since around 2009, 2010, in that region south of South Africa, sea ice has declined quite substantially. And what we believe is that due to a lack of sea ice, there's a less availability of krill for these whales. So what they do, they go to other regions. That's why we see them going to Southwest Atlantic regions, or staying more on these frontal systems closer to South Africa that are also quite rich in food, but not so much in krill. So overall, as a conclusion for this, I quite want to state that it's very clear to us that global climate change is affecting the food availability for right whales. and that it is reducing their ability to accumulate that energy reserve that they need for a healthy reproduction, and ultimately maintaining the recovery from whaling. So the research we do is very much a collaborative effort internationally. We work under the International Whaling Commission banner, we work under the Southern Right Whale Consortium banner, so we collaborate across the different regions to put the pieces of the puzzle together. All right, well, with this, I want to thank you very, very much for your attention. I hope that wasn't too much information. I'm very happy to take questions. But I first of all want to thank Wilfred and the team of Marine Dynamics for always supporting us, supporting the work we do, helping with the sampling, helping with data. Thank you, Wilfred. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Els Vermeulen. Any questions for her? I'm going to bring the microphone to you. That was a lot to take in. Yes, sir. You can just speak.
Hello. Krill is being fished now in the Antarctic. So that is another factor which is reducing the population. So do you know if that is a major contributory factor?
Yes, we do know that's an issue. So krill fisheries is very much Southwest Atlantic, so Antarctic Peninsula region. It doesn't help the system at all. But we do see that the migration shifts we see is away from the regions south of South Africa and almost more towards the regions where the krill fisheries are. So then the issue there, I think, lies with possible entanglements and other issues with those fisheries. There's definitely a problem there. But I don't think it's at the basis of what we see in our population at the moment.
Thank you, Doctor. Wonderful talk. Very, very interesting. Could it be that if you superimpose the growth or the total population of the whales on this calving graphs that you see your phases, is there a slowdown in the global population, or is the global population still, because there's one of the graphs that showed the global population is actually increasing. So nevertheless, although we have this up and down of the calving sequences, we still have a growth in the population. So this actually shows a wonderful adaptation of the whales to changing conditions. Is that what is happening at the moment, or is the data a little bit too short to really say that there is a statistical significance in the changes?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. That's a really good question. So yes, the right whale populations globally are increasing. So what we're seeing is that that rate of increase is slowing down. So, and I do agree with you with the time frame we have. It's probably not long enough to see if we have effectively an issue in terms of population growth. We have, for example, the Argentinian colleagues who do record more mortalities than we do, for example. And that's one of the reasons we want to investigate how is calf survival now affected. So I think the time frame is too short to say, but the populations are increasing, just at a slower rate.
Any more questions? Yes.
Congratulations for the huge work you did. A question, did you make any ecotoxicological studies about the whales?
Not just yet, but we're developing one project around it. It's definitely something we want to start investigating, microplastics as well. Also comparing resident animals with migratory animals, so it's something that we're kickstarting hopefully very soon.
Thank you, Dr. Macaroni. Have we got any more questions? Can we, there's something, Harald, can you just quickly come through? We just just want to give a little token of appreciation. Was there another question? Another question in this area? Oh, right. Is there something, I guess, 2 letters. 1, movie. What am I supposed to get? Santa, that's it. Yes. How do I get there? Has anybody seen any flowers that's meant for Dr. Els?
I'll find them, I'll find them.
No, don't take the ones that's from the Graphite House. We'll get into trouble. I promise we got special ones. Sancho says it's here. Anybody see? Is there someone? So how does he think I'm going to get there? Oh, it was here. Somebody has taken it. Okay, whoever took the... Did you take the flowers?
Oh, there we go.
Surprise! Thank you so much, Els. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So we want to show you a short video clip, highlights of Art 2025. How incredible it is to see these whales every day. I know we get used to them, but we should never. Today we were in Hermanus as well, and to see the whales there, and it's just incredible. I mean, every day we go walk our dogs, we just see the sunrise and the humpbacks. We are really privileged to have that right here on our doorstep. Dr. Els, you want to grab a seat? Yeah, there we go. And there's something nice for us in the while you're at it. So we want to show you this video card.
While whales can be seen off the South African coast throughout the year, the team at Marine Dynamics is especially excited for the winter and spring seasons. This is when the southern right whale makes its way to our coastline, one of the best times for visitors to see these whales up close. They come from chilly sub-Antarctic waters to take advantage of our calm, shallow bays. Spotting a whale is always an unforgettable experience, and one of the most distinctive signs is the spout they release when surfacing for air. Southern right whales are especially easy to identify by their unique V-shaped spout, often visible even from afar. If you're lucky enough to get a closer look, you'll notice some other unique features. A broad, smooth back with no dorsal fin, and white patches on their heads known as callosities. These rough spots are home to barnacles and whale lice. Harmless little hitchhikers that give each whale a unique look. As spring arrives, the newborn calves stay close to their mothers, gaining strength in the safety of the bay before heading off on their first big journey back to the southern feeding grounds. There they feast on krill and tiny crustaceans called copepods. On rare occasions, visitors have even witnessed whales feeding here during springtime planting blooms, an amazing sight that has only happened once in the past decade. Whether you're here for the incredible photo opportunities, the peaceful beauty of the ocean, or an unforgettable chance to see these whales in their natural habitat, winter and spring offer the best seats on the boat. Join us on the water for a once-in-a-lifetime experience with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring visitors.
So I've never had children, but if I did, I would have hoped that they are like this special young lady. Where's Letitia? The one you saw on the screen right now. So I would like to introduce you to the newest member of our crew, and she's our guide on the whale boat, and we are incredibly proud of her. It's got a very special story, so please give a warm round of applause.
Alright, good evening everybody. It is an honor to stand before you. So yes, I am Letitia, the new recruit in the marine guiding crew. So my journey starts back in 2015, where the Dyer Island Conservation Trust started the Deep Blue Ambassador Program, where I was just an ordinary kid that knew nothing or not much about the ocean. I joined it thinking it's just an extra curriculum at school, not knowing that it would change my life completely. So I learned a lot about conservation and marine animals, and I also gained confidence and all of the above. So then after high school, I didn't know much to do. I didn't know what to do. I was just a little fish swimming by and following everyone else. And I was helping out at the Penguin Sanctuary. Then there was a volunteer that told me, why don't you try marine guiding? I didn't know much about the career. I only knew that Sonia and Sandra were guides on the marine boat. I didn't know what they were doing. And then I decided to speak to Wilfred and jump into the opportunity of, finding out. And then luckily Wilfred gave me the opportunity to study marine guiding through the program for Gaza, where I managed to pass with 81%. And of course, I still have to do practicals to be an official marine guide. But yes, I am thankful for him to giving me the opportunity of being a marine guide.
Thank you, Letitia. And get some flowers. Now, at least I know where they are. So, and she had a problem with the Wi-Fi and she couldn't finish her exam. And she was like, oh no, I've got to rewrite. Then we get her marks back and she runs in here and she's like, I got 81. So if she completed the entire exam or she had Wi-Fi for that, she would have gotten 108. So anyway, 81 is okay, girl. So we're very proud of you, Letitia. So you're going to see a lot more of Letitia. And then, before we have Great White House soup and bread, thank you for the Great White House for having us tonight here for Marine Evening. You can go. There's one last thing. One last person. So, although she grew up in Nelspruit, studied at Potchefstroom, had her first job in Oudtshoorn, she decided, like the Sunrise Whales, she needed to come here to, let's just stick with Kolf. And now it's almost her time to Kolf, and we're going to say goodbye to her because she needs the Kolf to suckle and stuff like that for another 4 months before we see her again. That will only be next year. So Kari, we want to say goodbye to you. Kari from marketing. It's probably going to take her like 10 minutes to get here. And Kari, we've got some flowers for you with Sancha as well. So you're going to see Kari in town. You're going to see her looking very tired. Give her a hug. And give her some advice. And Kari, so little one is expected, she's last day is the 10th, and then we don't know what's going to happen. It all depends on when he's ready to come. It's a little baby boy calf. So we are very excited to have a new little baby in the Marine Dynamics family. So Kari, we will see you next year. Thank you everybody. Please enjoy your soup and bread, and thank you so much for being here.